Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Family Search weekly live stream. How is everybody doing? It is almost Friday, and we are fitting in another Family Search class that you can enjoy and that you can learn from. Today, we have the wonderful Angela Thurup. Welcome, Angela. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here with all of you.
That's great. We're so excited to hear from you today. You have such a special treat for us in store. Tell us what you're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so I'm going to be going over the Family Search Research Wiki, and that's something that I could talk about all day. So I'm really excited. I'll get to show you how to use it and navigate it, um, and just make sure that it's a part of your research process.
Thank you so much. And Angela, you said that earlier. You're like, I could talk about this subject all day, every day. Tell us a little bit about where that passion comes from.
Yeah, well, I really started getting into family history when I was probably about 15 years old. And I had a summer where I was able to spend, a day each week dedicated to having, people teach me how to do family history work. And I just had some experiences where it was really cool. And I loved using the wiki to learn more about the countries where my ancestors came from. And uh, it left a big impact. And that's kind of what pushed me to study it and do it today as a profession.
That's so neat. So, since you were 15 years old, you've just been in this world and making discoveries. Tell us a little bit about your background and your heritage, your ancestral heritage. What have you learned?
Yeah, so a lot of my heritage comes from the Nordic countries like Sweden and Norway and Denmark, which is what I'm specializing in right now. And that's been really exciting to kind of learn their customs and how they kept records. But I also have ancestry from US and like England in that area. So a little bit of everything.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing more about that. And you've made these discoveries over the years, right?
Yes, that definitely little by little. It wasn't something that I was able to get overnight.
I love hearing that because a lot of times when we think about family history, sometimes we're like, oh man, like I just want everything right now. I want to know it all. And so, even for the experts, it's so refreshing, Angela, to hear that family history is something that takes time and patience and that you shouldn't give up on. And so, we're so grateful that you can help give us some tips as to how we can use the Family Search Research Wiki to be able to get the answers that we're all looking for. I'm going to share a little bit about Angela for those of you that are just joining us, and welcome everybody. Before we dig into what her experience is, please let us know where you're watching from and have you used the Family Search Wiki before? And if you haven't, you should. I am someone who's definitely not an expert in family history, but I will tell you that the one thing that makes me feel like an expert and more prepared is that wiki page. And so let us know, have you used the wiki? And if so, what have you learned and what have you used and how have you benefited from it? So a little bit about Angela. She obviously, like she said earlier, she cut the family history bug early on in life. She said at 15 years old, she had started to have these awesome experience of family discovery. And she started as a volunteer with the Family Search Library. And now she's working as an intern with their Nordic team. You really are passionate about that heritage of yours, Angela. That's
Yes.
so neat. And so now she's actually wrapping up her final semester in the Family History Research Program at BYU. How is that going?
It's so good. I'm ready to finish it though.
You're ready to finish it and conquer the world and help all of us with our family history. I love it.
For
Okay,
sure.
so she's she's picked up all sorts of new research tricks because of that program. And I love that just because she's knowledgeable about this, she's wanting to share all of the knowledge and the information and the skills that she's gained with all of us today. So, Angela, thank you so much for volunteering to do this and for being here. Thank you for sharing this love that you have for family history with us. And yeah, let's get started. Angela, if there was a perfect outcome for your class today, what would you hope that would be? Like, what is the one thing that we should be paying attention to or taking away from this class when all is said and done?
I think if there's one thing that I would choose is I want everyone to take away that the wiki can help you no matter what stage you are in your research. If you're just a beginner or if you're really advanced, the wiki is something that like can benefit all of us in so many different ways. So it's not a tool that you want to think of, oh, I have to wait till I can do everything, or I already know so much. It really is meant for everybody.
Thank you so much. So it's definitely a tool that everyone can use and everyone can find value in. Thank you for reminding us about that. And we're just so stoked to be able to jump into things. Take it away, Angela. And again, please, this is a live stream. So everyone that's tuning in, ask questions throughout. We're going to make sure that Angela can see them, she can answer them. And you don't have to wait till the very end. We're going to do our best to be very dynamic and make sure that you get the responses that you need so that you can really maximize the benefit of again, the FamilySearch Wiki. Angela, thank you so much for your time and for being here.
Yeah, thanks. I am so excited. Like we said, it's all about the Family Search Research Wiki. Um, and it was a tool that I did not utilize at the beginning of my research. And when I was just starting out, it took me a little bit before I recognized all of the value that it had. So I'm really, really excited that we get to talk about it today. So I have two main objectives that kind of what we're going to go over and make sure that you understand. The first is that we're going to learn how to navigate the Family Search Research Wiki, understand how it's organized, what to expect in it, and where you can find things. And then secondly, we're going to go over strategies on how to use it effectively, so that you can make sure you're getting the most out of it when you're stuck or looking for specific information, um, and just like needing to understand record types, etc. So I'm going to show you first how we can get to the wiki, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. There's two ways that you can get to the wiki. The first one is going to be just from your homepage on Family Search. So I'm logged in, but you do not need to be logged in to use the wiki. In the top left corner, you're going to see these different tabs. We're going to click on Search and then go all the way second to the bottom to the Research Wiki. And this is going to take you directly to the home page of the wiki. Another way that you can get here, and one that I probably use more often, is if I'm in a new tab. Let's see if it will load for me. A new tab, and I just go into the URL bar and I type in wiki.familysearch.org. Oh, and now it's going to take away what I typed, wiki.familysearch.org. If I can get it right. Third time's the charm, right? We'll just add in that I that I missed. And then it should work for us. There we go. Okay, so there's multiple ways you can get into the wiki. Um, I love to think of the wiki as a digital encyclopedia of genealogical knowledge. So it's going to cover not just the countries of the world, but also often the state or county levels or even more specific locations. It includes lists of helpful websites, explanation of record types, research strategies, and suggestions for the tools or resources that might help you find your ancestors. One thing you need to know about the wiki though, this is not where you're going to come in and type your ancestor's name. Instead, what this is going to be is figuring out what records exist, where to find them, and how to use them to then uncover the people that you're looking for. So I'm going to close one of these duplicate tabs, and I'm going to just walk you through the Research Wiki homepage real quick. So you'll notice over here on the left side, we've got the main menu. I'll go over this later in the webinar, but I just want to highlight if this is showing up and you want to minimize it, you can hit these two little carrots at the top and it's going to hide that menu bar. And if you want it back, you can hit those three bars again. But I'm going to minimize it so we can see the screen a little bit better. So this is the Research Wiki homepage. Um, You'll notice underneath this title, a genealogy resource guide, there's a list of how many articles are currently in the wiki. So right now, we are just shy of 150,500 articles. That is a lot of information that is being included in this. And like I said, it can be about locations or it can be about topics. There's just so much information that's being compiled right now. If we scroll down a little bit, well, I guess I should highlight we have our search bar here. And this is where you can put in a place or a topic to find what articles are available. If you scroll down a little bit more, we have this beautiful map of the world, and this is interactable. So let's say that I'm wanting to look for information on Rome. I can come to this clickable map, and I know Rome is in Europe, and it's going to list all of the different countries that are in Europe. And anytime you see this little caret on the left-hand side, that's an indication that there are other locations listed underneath. So we're going to scroll down though until we get to Italy. And I just want the main Italy homepage. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit and click on Italy. And this will take me to the article that tells me everything I need to know about getting started in Italy genealogy. So that's one way that you can find information about a place on the wiki. I'm going to hit the back button in the top left corner. And I'm going to show you searching by the main search bar. So for this example, we're going to try searching for Wisconsin. So I'm going to start typing in Wisconsin, and you'll see it'll pull up a whole bunch of results. I'm going to click on this one that says United States Genealogy, because when you see these genealogy in the title, it usually indicates that this is the main page for a locality. So in this case, it pulls up everything about Wisconsin. So there's a couple ways that you can search. All right, going back to the home page, I want to draw your attention over here to the right-hand side where it says Jumpstart Your Research. This is really helpful if you are just starting out in a country and you don't know what you really need to look for or where you can find that information. You can come here and click on Guided Research. And this is a really simple process that will walk you through question by question. So you'll notice here it has a list of countries that currently have the guided research available. And the formatting is a little bit off right now. So our wiki, because it's a kind of living space, it's always changing, always growing. We've just gone through a whole bunch of changes to help improve the wiki. But with that, we have some of our links and our pages that are not lining up the way they normally would, and they will be getting fixed. But so that's why you see it looks a little funny right here. And I also wanted to note, this is not all of the countries, like this won't stay permanent. We're going to be adding more countries that can have the guided research. But for example, let's say we're interested in an ancestor who came from Mexico. I'm going to click on Mexico, and it's going to bring me up the first question that I need to ask myself when doing research in Mexico. Do I know where that ancestor lived? And we'll walk through both answers. But let's say in this case, I do know. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to pull open a map. This is the clickable map like we saw on the home page, except for being the entire world. Now it's just the different states within Mexico. So let's say my ancestor is from Durango, and we're going to click on that. Next, it's going to ask, am I looking for birth, marriage, or death information? We'll just go easy with birth this time, and we click on that. And it's going to give us a collection on where we can start searching for records. In this case, it's a collection at FamilySearch that covers from 1510 all the way to 2000. And you'll notice the link to that collection right now is not currently working. And that's, again, one of the things that we may see as they've been making changes to the wiki. And you can report that so we can make sure it gets fixed. But I'll show you how to do that later on. And then underneath, if your birth record was not found in that collection, it gives you another place that you can search. Okay, let's go back in guided research to see what it looks like if we don't know where that ancestor came from. So we'll go ahead and click on I don't know the location. And then it's going to give you a couple of options on how to find where they came from. In this case, it's suggesting a collection that talks about border crossings from Mexico to the United States, covering 1903 to 1957. And if you click on this, it'll open in a new window. And you can tell because it has this little box to the right that has an arrow pointing outwards. So that is how guided research works. It's going to take you step by step, and it's really user-friendly. Okay, let's go back to the home page again one more time. And I want to just go over a couple of the things that you might find in the wiki. I already showed you a couple of locality pages, but the wiki really does cover so much more. It has a huge variety of resources to support your research no matter your experience level. For example, you'll find information on genealogy databases and online resources. This includes wiki links to external websites, digitized collections, and tools that are specific to certain places or topics. The wiki has information on genealogy strategies and research guidance. So if you're wanting to learn how to do a research log, you can come to this main search bar and type in research log, and it's going to pull open an article that tells you what information to include. It even has some examples of what you might format, or if you want to copy one that we have from here. Um, there's lots of help with that. And we'll go back to the homepage again. The wiki also has information on different record types. So if you're delving into a record type that you've never used before, maybe like a census record, you can find articles that talk about what are included in census records, how you can use them, and what countries have them for different time periods. Then, of course, we have the locality pages, which I've already showed you with Wisconsin and Rome, and we'll go into those a little bit more. But these are articles that are for specific places like countries, states, counties, or even parishes. And then lastly, we have topical articles that are included in the wiki. So you'll find these general topics in genealogy like organizer genealogy strategies, gazetteers, other tools or techniques that apply across many countries. And these broader articles are especially useful for sharpening your skills and filling in knowledge gaps. So there's a lot of information covered. Okay, let's take a closer look at some of these locality pages and the formats that they have. So we're going to take a look at Minnesota, and I'm going to use the clickable map this time. And of course, it lists all of the countries in North America, and we'll scroll down till we hit United States, and it will show all of the different states. So let's scroll up until we see Minnesota, and we'll click on that. Okay, one thing to note is that all of the state pages and a lot of the country pages have the same layout. We try to use templates to keep things consistent. So when you get comfortable with one page, it's really easy to jump to another page and navigate it. It helps the learning curve go down. You can get the hang of it pretty quickly. That being said, let's go over some of the things that you're going to see on a state page. So in this case, you're going to have the title of the location, Minnesota, United States, and then genealogy. Like I said, genealogy is usually used to indicate that this is one of the main pages. Then underneath, we have a little bit of information about the locality. In this case, it tells us Minnesota became the 32nd state admitted to the Union, which is kind of cool. And if you want to learn more about the history, they have a link here at the end that says Minnesota history that takes you to a different wiki article that explains more of the background information for Minnesota. Right underneath that, you're going to see these three colorful resource boxes. And we'll go over these in just a second, but these are great for getting started and getting some help. If we scroll down a little bit more, we have another one of these wonderful clickable maps, and I love these so much. In this case, it's all of the different counties in Minnesota. So if I have family from Cass, I can click on this and it will take me to a wiki article specifically about Cass County. But if you don't know where the county is located within the state and you don't want to try to figure it out, you can scroll down just a little bit more and you're going to have all of those counties listed in alphabetical order, which makes it really easy to find them. If we scroll just a little bit more, we're going to see that there's all of the defunct or renamed counties. And I love this. I don't know if you've ever been doing research on an individual and you have, information about their marriage and you're trying to find the birth, and it turns out the county where they were born didn't exist when they were married. They had split it up. And so it kind of can make it hard to know, where am I looking for records? What happened? How did these counties split? And so we have these historical counties where you can go and learn that information. Super helpful. And then underneath that, we have the Minnesota migration routes. And this is going to give you links to articles that give context about how people moved into, out of, or through Minnesota. This is super helpful when you're trying to figure out where an ancestor may have gone next. Okay, then we'll scroll back up to the top. And I want to point out this beautiful Wiki topics table here on the right-hand side. This is something that can become your best friend if you know how to use it. And I'll go over the different sections in detail in just a moment, but I want to highlight that all of these links are Minnesota specific. So if you click on a record type for adoption, it's going to be adoption records in Minnesota. But it starts with this beginning research section that's going to give you tips and guides on how to get started with research, in this case in Minnesota. Then we have all the different record types. Scroll a little bit more and we have links to more background information about Minnesota, links to information about the cultural groups, and then local research resources. Okay, let's scroll back up to the top and we're going to take a look at these 3 colorful resource bars that we highlighted briefly. We're going to go ahead and click on the first one that says Minnesota Online Genealogy Records. It's this blue one on the far left side. And what this is going to take us to is a list of all the statewide collections that you can access online and then search. And you'll see they're grouped by record type. So under vital records, we have the births, marriages, and then deaths underneath. Over on the side, we'll have military records and maps, land records. There's just so many different types of records, and this is going to show you where you can access those. So for example, we see here up at the top under births, from 1840 to 1980, Minnesota births and christenings. And if we click on this, we see that it has the little box with the arrow indicating it's going to open the link in a new tab. And then here at this link, this is where I can put in my ancestor's name. And this is where I can search and try to see if there's a specific record about them in the catalog for it. One thing I want to highlight about FamilySearch collections that I think is so cool is that almost every different collection has a wiki article explaining how to best use that collection. So you see that down here at the bottom, there's the how to use this collection. If I click on that, that's going to open up the wiki article that tells me what is included in this collection, the index and image visibility, what the records could tell you, including, if it includes parent's name or birthplace, what areas are covered, and how to best search it. So if you're in a new collection and you're like, oh, I don't really know the best way to use this or what information is included, take a look at the wiki article for it because it'll tell you all about it. Okay, I'm going to close that out till we're back to our online genealogy records. And you'll notice with this list that not all of them are at FamilySearch. For example, if we come to this 1900 to 1934 Minnesota birth index, this one is at Ancestry. So it's going to open it in a new tab, but after it lists Ancestry, it has this dollar symbol in parentheses, and this is an indication that it is a paid subscription site. So if you don't have a paid subscription, a lot of these will be available at a FamilySearch center or affiliate library. So you can still access them, but it's important to pay attention to that when you're choosing which collections you want to search. Okay, we're going to go back to the Minnesota homepage, and we'll use the breadcrumb trail this time, and you'll find that right underneath the title. And it's going to go by the largest locality to more specific. So in this case, it starts with the United States, then Minnesota, and the bolded one is where we are currently, online genealogy records. So we're going to go back to Minnesota. And now we're going to take a look at online research help, this purple rectangle. Okay, so this is going to give you some ways that you can get help when you're doing research on your own. The first one is this online genealogy consultations here on the far left. One of the really cool things that the FamilySearch library offers is a free 20-minute genealogy consultation with a volunteer or research specialist. So this is where you can come and get research guidance, methodology help, or just help planning your next steps. Here in the middle, we have the FamilySearch community groups. The FamilySearch communities are individuals who volunteer their time and help to do translation of documents, answer questions, provide research tips. You do need to have a free FamilySearch account to use it, but it is super helpful. And we just had a wonderful webinar about how to use this if you want to learn more about the FamilySearch community groups. And then over here on the far right, we have online genealogy research groups. This is going to be similar to the community groups, except it's not through FamilySearch. So they have a list that you can go through to see if there's any that help with the places or topics that you're looking to research. And again, it's these volunteers, people who come together to collaborate and help one another find answers. All right, let's go ahead back to the main page for Minnesota. And we'll click on the Getting Started red bar over here. This is going to take you to an article that helps you get started for this locality, in this case, Minnesota. There's going to be a bunch of helpful links, including some step-by-step Minnesota research help, using the guided research. And then I love coming down to this how to research portion, where it kind of walks you through the things you may need to know when you're starting to do your own research plans. Gather what you have, identify what you're trying to learn, etc. So this is really helpful when you're getting started. Let's go back and we're going to talk about the Minnesota Wiki Topics table now. I love the Wiki Topics table so much. So if we come to beginning research, you'll see that some of the links are the same, like this getting started correlates over here with the red bar that we just looked at. But I want to show you guided research. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And this is going to look very familiar to you. This is the same layout that we saw on the Wiki homepage, except instead of being by country, this is going to be specific to Minnesota. So in this case, it's going to ask, what are you trying to find? A birth, a marriage, a death? In this case, we'll go with birth again. And it's going to give us the collection to start with, and then a secondary collection that you can check if you didn't find what you wanted in the first one. And you'll see, again, we have the issue where the link is not working properly to get to the collection. And that's okay. I'll walk you through how we can flag that and let them know that it's something that needs to be fixed. Okay, let's go back. Okay, underneath guided research, we have these research strategies. So this is going to be a little similar to getting started, as in it's going to give you tips on what to do for this locality. But there's a full article that goes into detail on a whole bunch of different topics. So if you're delving into a new state or a new country, this is a place that you want to come to make sure you're getting all the tips. But if we scroll down, we're going to look at this Minnesota Record Finder, which is also listed under beginning research in the topic table, but we're going to click on it here in the article. And this is going to take you to like a cheat sheet of what records to search in this area if you're looking for a specific piece of information. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. You'll see there's some space, and that's because we've had, changes in the wiki, and that will be resolved. But here's the start of our table. So if you're searching for this piece of information in the left column, it's going to give you the best records to search in the center, and then alternative records to search on the right-hand side if you're not finding what you need. For example, if you want to find the birth date and place of your ancestor, it says to start with vital records, church records, cemetery records, newspapers, and obituaries. And if you can't find it in any of those, then you can try looking at Bible records or census records. So this is going to be really helpful in finding the next place to check when you're not sure where to go. And I really love that they have some extra information that you wouldn't normally think of when you think genealogy. But if you're wanting to find the immigration date of your ancestor, they have places for you to look. If you want to know where they resided, they can give suggestions on that as well. If you want to know more about their occupation, religion, social activities, there are all of these different sources that provide that information if you know where to look. And I want to note that every single one of these links is going to take you to a Minnesota specific link for that. So these court records will take you to Minnesota court records. If we scroll up, you'll notice that they align with the record types found in the Wiki table. So you'll see them listed down there in the chart on what information they provide, but you can also access them under record types. We'll scroll down though and say we're interested in vital records for Minnesota. If I click on that, it'll pull open the Wiki article. And I may have to scroll down. I think this one has some blank space. Here we go. And it starts telling us the information for that state. So in this case, it's going to tell you at first the vital records and when they started. So you'll see that the earliest records in Minnesota start in 1870, but the statewide registration doesn't start till later, and then it also lists general compliance. And it's important to know both of those because in case of marriage, statewide registration and general compliance was the same year. But if you look at births, it took 15 years before all of the counties were compliant with recording their births. And then if you scroll down, it's going to, again, more links to collections about those specific topics: births, marriages, and deaths. Okay, let's scroll back up to the top. Just a little bit more. And I'm going to use that breadcrumb trail again to click on Minnesota and come back to the home page. Okay, so we've looked a little bit at the beginning of research links that are included. Oh, hang on. There we go. And then the record types. And if we scroll down, I just want to highlight a little bit of what you can find in the background information. When you're doing research, understanding the context and history really can play a big part in understanding why you're not finding the records you're wanting to, or understanding different aspects of the people you're researching, understanding their lives. So this is a great place to come if you want to learn more about the history, the jurisdictions, maps, laws, biographies. You know, we try to include a lot of background information so that you can fully understand, that state or that location. And then cultural groups. If there is a specific group in an area that has a big role or may have extra records that are useful in identifying them, that's where you'll find them here in cultural groups. So in this case for Minnesota, we have African Americans, Indigenous peoples, cultural groups, which is going to include some of the smaller ones, and then Swedish Americans. Because if you didn't know, Minnesota had a lot of Swedish immigrants. And then underneath that, we have these local research resources. And this is where you can find information about the archives and libraries in that area, societies, and then finding a family search center nearby. I want to quickly go in and look at archives and libraries though. This is really helpful because it's going to show you where you can reach out if you need more than what's available online. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit till we get to the National Archives. And you'll see that we try to include information about that archive and contact information. However, because the wiki is so big and there's so much that can change with this contact information, if something's not working and you're not able to get a hold of them, we really encourage you to click on the website or email them and then go get that updated information. Because try the best we can. It's really hard to stay on top of all of the changes that happen there. Okay, let's scroll back up. And we're going to click on Minnesota again. And this time we're going to take a look at a county page. And I love the county pages because the state page is going to be more broad. And the county page is going to give you all the information you need to know about the specific area where your ancestor was living. So let's scroll down to that clickable map. In this case, I want to look at Cook County over here on the right side. So I click on that and it's going to pull up the county page. Similar to the state pages and country pages, county pages follow a template to try to keep things consistent, so it's really easy to get familiar with how they're laid out. However, sometimes we don't always have the information for that place, so you may see some blank spots as we go through this, but I just wanted to highlight that it's the same all throughout. And over here on the left side, you're going to see this content menu that is with the article. You may have noticed it on some of the articles we looked at previously, But this is great if you want to see everything that's included at a glance. And then if you click on it, it will jump to that location in the article so you don't have to scroll through. If you're not seeing this menu, it's likely hidden and you need to click on these three bars that have the dots. Or, let's see, we'll move to the sidebar. Or if it's not showing there and it's still hidden, you may have your main menu open. And that pushes your content menu all the way to the bottom. So I'll come back up and we'll hide that main menu. And we're just going to walk through what you might find on a county page. So it's going to start with a description of the county and access to the county courthouse. You'll have some facts over here on the right-hand side in a little chart that talk about when it was organized, the parent counties, and neighboring counties, which is really helpful. In this case, it lists Lake County, but it also recognizes that Cook County is on the border with Canada. So it lists Rainy River District, Ontario, Canada as a neighboring county, which is helpful if you're trying to trace where might my ancestor have gone. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit more, and it's going to tell you about the record dates. We saw this when we looked at the vital records for Minnesota, but all of these records are going to be specifically for Cook County. In this case, you'll see that birth, marriage, and death all started around the same time in 1900, but the census records and stuff started much earlier. Then there's information on the record loss and boundary changes. If we scroll down, it'll have all the populated places. I'm going to use this content menu to jump down to resources. And this is going to list all the available resources for Cook County. And then beneath resources, I'm going to use this menu bar again to jump to research facilities. And this will include the archives and libraries, museums, and how you can find those. And scroll just a little bit more. It will also list societies. And again, you might have the same issue where if the information we have to contact them is out of date, we encourage you go to the website provided and find that more accurate information, the more up to date, I should say. Okay, so that is the county page. It's laid out very similar. We're going to jump up real quick to census records, and I just want to highlight very briefly what it looks like when you click on one of these. So for example, let's say I want to find my ancestor in the 1905 Minnesota State Census. If I click on this, it's going to take me up to a place where I can search again with that name specific information, where I can put my ancestor's name, their birth date. I'll scroll down just a little bit to show that. So you'll see the wiki is really good at getting you to the records. You may not be using your ancestor's name in the wiki, but it's going to help you know where to search. Okay, we've looked at the county pages and the state pages. I just want to show you how similar the layout is for a different country. In this case, I'm going to use a search bar that's up in the top left corner, and we're going to type in Sweden. And I'll click on that Sweden genealogy. And you'll notice right away, this is almost the exact same layout as Minnesota, as the state pages were. You're going to have the information about the location and these three colorful resource bars that help you get started. You scroll down and you'll have your clickable map that leads to different counties. In this case, there's also a bar on the side where you can click on those counties or sort them if you want to change it by country code or county name. If we scroll a little bit farther, again, we will have all of those counties listed in alphabetical order. So you don't have to find them on the map if that's a little overwhelming or daunting. And then you'll notice on the right-hand side, again, we have that beautiful wiki table that gives us all the helpful links. But this time, it's going to have some different links because it's not tailored to Minnesota, it's now tailored to Sweden. So under beginning research, you'll notice we still have the getting started, the guided research, record finder, and research strategies, but they also added finding town of origin and online learning. So if you're wanting to watch some videos on how to do Swedish research, come here and click on this link. Record types, again, are going to be specific to the location. So a lot of these are the same, but you'll notice there are no vital records like we used for Minnesota. And that's because, in this case, they would be included under church records, all of that information. We scroll down just a little bit more. And we'll have, again, all of that background information, but this time more specific for the location. So if I'm just starting in Sweden and I don't understand the naming customs, I can come in here and click on this link and it will give me an article that explains all about how Sweden did their names and passed them on. Then underneath we have the word lists. You're going to see this a lot for other countries, and this is really helpful, especially if you don't speak the language of where you're doing your research. So if you're jumping into Sweden research for the first time and you're like, I don't speak Swedish or Latin, because they often recorded their records in both, you have these word lists that you can click on, and it's going to give you all of the key words that you likely find or often find in these records and their translation. So you don't have to be a pro at the language. We have all of these resources that just make it so much more accessible. And you'll see, here's the word in Swedish and here's what it means in English. And you can always do Control F to search through quickly and find the word you're looking for. Okay, we'll scroll back up if it will let me. There we go. And this time I'm going to take us back to the main menu. And I'm going to use this main menu bar that we've had hidden. And I'm going to come under Research Wiki and click on Wiki Home. Now you've kind of seen a little bit about all of the different locality pages that we have, but there are so many topical pages that you can't find if you're just going through by location. So I want to highlight how you can search for some of those. I'm going to come to our search and I'm going to look up traditional, if I can type, traditional nicknames in old documents. So this wiki article, what it does is it's going to show us common nicknames for different given names. So some of these we may know, like Tom replaces Thomas, um, or Bill for William, but there's a whole bunch that today we would separate as separate names, but in historical records they were often interchangeable. And so this article has saved me several times when I was trying to trace an ancestor, and sometimes they were going by Hannah, sometimes they were going by Anna, and to me I thought those are different names, but historically they were often interchangeable. And so if we scroll down, it's alphabetical and you can jump through using these links at the top. But I came down here and looked for Anna, and you'll see Anna is often used for Hannah or Susanna. So this is a really helpful wiki article if you know how to find it and how to use it. And I'll just highlight one more. Let's say I want to know more about research forms. Let's do genealogy. Oops. Genealogy research forms down here at the very bottom. This article includes printable forms of a variety of different record types, including census forms, pedigree charts, group sheets, migration and passenger logs, etc. So, for example, let's say I'm looking at the 1920 US Census and I want to record the information that I'm finding. I can come here and click on this template that they've made, and I'll rotate it so that you can see it a little bit better. You'll see that it lists all of the headings that are included on that census, more than just where they were living, what year they were born, etc. It's got if they were naturalized or the year of naturalization, where their father and mother were born, and what their mother tongue was. So this is a great place where then I can record everything I'm learning on the census, not just a couple of the key tips. We'll go back real quick. I have one last thing that I kind of want to go over. And we'll use our main menu to go back to the Wiki homepage. I finally want to explain to you this main menu bar that we've kind of hinted about, but I haven't really gone into depth on. So I have it open, and if it's not open, you can click the three little bars at the top and the left. The first thing you'll notice is there's this link to switch to the old look. So like I said, we've been making some changes to the wiki, and if things they're too different for you and you're not familiar with it or comfortable, you can click on this and switch it back to how it used to be. Then underneath we have the research wiki links, this wiki home that I've used a couple times to get us back to this home page, the about the wiki, online genealogy records, guided research, and research resources, which you should recognize from those three colorful bars that you see on the county or on the state and country pages. and then one to Wiki policies. Then we have information about the FamilySearch library, the FamilySearch centers, and affiliate libraries. So let's say that you don't live in Utah and can't come to the FamilySearch library easily and you want to find a center near you. You can click on this link and it's going to take you up to a map where you can type in where you're living. Let's say, for instance, that I live in Daytona Beach and I want to know the closest places to me. It's being a little slow. Okay, you'll see all of these locations around the city that I searched for. All of these green ones are going to be FamilySearch centers, and any of the rust-colored ones are going to be affiliate libraries. So it's important to make that distinction. And the contact information is going to be listed over on the left-hand side. And this is where you can see the phone number and the address and get directions, etc. Okay, let's close that out. And the last thing that I want to show you is this give feedback over in the main menu, where you can submit wiki content or report a problem. We ran into a couple of problems today where we saw the links weren't working like they were supposed to. And I actually went through and reported that problem. And I went by clicking on this link, and it kind of gives you some instructions on how you're going to report that problem or submit wiki content. And if it will load for just a second, and we scroll down, let's see, too far. Okay, this form to submit content or report a problem. When you click on this, it will open in a new tab and you can say exactly where you had the issue, what needs to be fixed, etc. And they got back to me and were able to let me know it's on our radar. We're going to fix those links, which is really helpful. Okay, that is the overview of the FamilySearch Wiki and how you can use it and some of the information provided on there. It really is a super cool tool uh, that is useful for all of us, no matter our research capabilities, but if we consider ourselves an expert or a beginner. And I'm just so grateful for all of you who tuned in today, and I hope that you had just as much fun as I did. I'm going to turn the time back over to the moderator. Oh, actually, real quick, I have an invitation for you before I forget. I want you to pick an ancestor and one place that they lived, and you can comment that below if you'd like. And then go to the wiki and tell us or see what information you can find about that location.
Angela, thank you so much. I love that invitation because it's putting into practice what you've talked about so that we can make sure that we're learning and we're figuring out how to best use this. And you know, I was reading some of the history behind all this valuable information that you were sharing with us, and I didn't know that this actually was inspired by the outlines that FamilySearch library experts used to carry around with them as they gave people tours and as people were visiting the library. So it's so cool to see that this is something that came to fruition because the experts were using it. So it's really nice how you packaged everything to help us understand that this isn't necessarily a place that's going to give you the answers. It's going to lead you to the answers, right?
Exactly.
That's so neat. And I loved how many layers there were by and how it's by location, and you can start digging deeper. And I loved also how you mentioned that one of your ancestors had a different spelling and different instances, and you were able to correlate the name because of the wiki. So that was really awesome. Um, so really quickly, I just wanted to give a couple of tidbits that I thought that were also interesting so that people can really understand the value that the FamilySearch Wiki has for your family history research. And I didn't know this, but the wiki actually receives over 100 million views per year. That's just crazy. So everyone and anyone can access this for free. And Angela, can you just remind us? You showed to us on a map where we can find FamilySearch centers and and affiliate libraries. What is the value of going to these locations that are available to people all across the United States and around the world. Can you remind us?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you remember when I pointed out that some of these collections that the Research Wiki will point you to are available outside on other platforms like Ancestry or MyHeritage. And those are paid sites where you have to pay money to use them. But if you
Mm,
come to one of our centers, we have a lot of that access for free. So if you come, you can get help and you can have so much more of these records at your fingertips.
that's so neat. So you're just reminding us that FamilySearch, because we are in this to help everyone, we have industry friends that we work with to create connections for all of you, everyone that's watching, to access records and information that will lead you to the answers that you're looking for about your own heritage and your ancestors for absolutely no cost. And we know that genealogy can get expensive, right? And so, what better than actually taking advantage of these wonderful resources that are available to you in person and getting some help while you're there. There are experts like you, right, Angela, that are there to help everybody?
Yeah, we have volunteers at all of our centers who would love to work with you and do the best they can to get you on the path you need.
Thanks, Angela. And you also mentioned at the beginning, and I love this because this is something that everyone that tunes in likes to click on and we like to include in the comments. It's the consultation. It's a free consultation, meaning, and I say consultation, sounds like such a formal word. It really is a 20-minute opportunity for you to connect with a family history expert. And it's available in multiple languages. And the idea is for you to go and ask specific questions that can get you or help you continue on that path of family history discovery. So, guys, FamilySearch is here to help. We're here to provide you with resources. We're here to make your life easier and to make sure that you have a really clear understanding of all that's available to you to be able to discover more about your ancestral past. So, thank you, Angela. And let's see if there are any comments or questions. We've had a lot of people just saying thank you. Erin says, I love these webinars every week. Thank you, FamilySearch. We have Cray who said, awesome information. Thank you from Colorado from Kat. Someone from California, Jam, said, thank you. And as always, people are requesting more records. And it's so good to know that everyone is just really thirsting for more information. That's why I find that these webinars that you give and that the FamilySearch team gives are just so valuable. Okay, we have someone saying grazie in Italian. Angela, so just really quickly, one thing that people should do that they should walk away with as a result of watching this is what?
Um, just know that there's so much information on the wiki available if you're willing to go in and spend some time to find these articles, and it really can help everybody depending, like, no matter where you are in your research journey and your genealogical path, I guess. It's a huge tool that will benefit all of us. Our goal is to make things accessible and helpful and to make you feel empowered.
Thank you so much. So instead of going and feeling overwhelmed, like you said, and starting with the daunting internet with Google, go to the FamilySearch Wiki. It's going to save you so much time. Is that what I'm understanding, Angela?
Yes, yeah,
That's great
for
to know.
sure.
So again, let's all follow Angela's wonderful advice of using the FamilySearch Wiki. That is a how-to. It'll point you to resources and information about all of the different places and pieces of your family history so that it can save you time. It'll simplify your existence. So, everybody, thank you so much. If you have questions and you're watching this after the fact, feel free to drop in a comment or a question. We'll continue to answer them. And a reminder for all of you that have tuned in today, we've had hundreds of people tuning in. Can you believe that? I think that this was a really popular topic, Angela. So thanks again for being here. Um, Every Thursday, FamilySearch has a live stream like this with a wonderful family history expert like Angela and her team members for you to learn and for you to be excited and to feel empowered to continue your family history journey. So, always at 11 a.m. Mountain Day on our social media channels, we're here for you. And then I don't know if you saw the banner crossing below at the bottom of the screen. Rootstech.org, the largest family history event in the world that is actually organized by FamilySearch is available to you, and all of the hundreds of classes in different languages. You can share this with your family members, no matter where they are, to help you piece your family history together, are available to you. So go to rootstech.org while we're not live streaming with Angela and her colleagues to enjoy family history at your convenience on your schedule. And thanks everybody. And Angela, thank you so much for your time. You're going to have to let us know next time all that you discover, all the details, the new details you're discovering about your Nordic heritage.
Oh, for sure. Thank you
Thank
so
you for your
much.
time, everybody. Have a great day, and thank you from FamilySearch. Take care.